Shame.
Shame.
I think it's important to explain why we do not support this petition's request and why we do not think it should be sent to the Pensions Committee, because when it gets there, it will be refused. So I was privileged to attend the City Hall Holocaust Memorial Day commemoration, where I met Eva Clark and heard her story, which was also covered in the Times newspaper on Saturday, if you wish to read it at more length. But in short, Eva is 80 years old, born in a concentration camp, a tiny new life, entering a world surrounded by death. And in total, 2/3 of all the Jews in Europe were killed in the Holocaust. And today we commemorate those victims on the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And among many poignant images of that terrible place is a photo taken in 2003 of an Israeli Air Force F-15 jets flying over the camp. And I think what that photo symbolizes for many is that Israel is both a shield and a lifeboat for Jewish people, two things that have tragically been lacking in many dark episodes of Jewish history. And this petition is asking us to disarm Israel, to remove that shield and to sink that lifeboat, to leave almost half the world's Jewish population defenseless and surrounded by people who wish them dead. And we saw on October the 7th what happens when some of those people get their way. I think many will have signed this petition in good faith, based on very reasonable concerns about the tragic war in Gaza, which I share. But when you look at the detail of the petition, it is entirely one-sided, as indeed was the speech that we heard from the petitioner earlier. And I fear it comes from a view that the conflict, that in this conflict, that one side is entirely right and one side is entirely wrong. And even if well-intentioned, I believe these attempts to undermine Israel, to hold it to a different standard from other countries, also undermine any prospect of achieving a peaceful two-state solution, which is ultimately the only a peaceful endpoint in that part of the world, because that solution requires acknowledging Israel's legitimacy as well as a Palestinian state's legitimacy. And so we see just recently some positive steps with the ceasefire and with the return of some hostages. And I know we all hope that that is maintained and developed. But I'm afraid the petitions like this are an obstacle to that peaceful end. And so we do not support this petition. Forgive me. It is not clear in any case that it's even legal to agree what is being requested. What's being proposed as a process this evening is that we send this petition to the Pensions Committee. And we don't support doing that either, because I think it is clear that the Pensions Committee will refuse what is being asked. And I would ask fellow councillors to ask themselves how that news might be greeted when it's delivered, how many people might turn up at the Pension Committee, and ask ourselves, why are we placing this burden on a small, generally non-political, fairly technical committee to deliver the news, which I think will inevitably come, that this council is not going to agree to what the petitioners are asking. So I suggest that we do not prolong it. I believe the view is this council that we do not support what is being asked. So I think we should vote to state that view today, to vote against recommendation 2, to settle the petition here this evening and not leave it to the Pensions Committee to carry the can. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And not leave it to the Pensions Committee to carry the can. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Shame.
Shame.
Shame.